Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Fairy Tale, and this is the politics video. And what it was going to be originally, and I'm going to get into a lot of things here, was trying to explain Trump to non-Americans. But I think I can kind of encapsulate a lot of things, what's going on, and this is a good time for this type of video. And this is definitely falling right into the societal narcissism series that you guys seem to like, and it's important to me because to me it's the basis of what I've been talking about for so long: societal narcissism, baby boomers, all of it. I've been talking before you heard of, George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's husband, giving clinical definitions of narcissistic personality disorder. We were talking about this, and people have been calling Trump a narcissist long before that. Okay, but what George Conway is what I've been saying all along, is what the left is what the Never Trumpers are, is what the establishment is. They are the sociopaths. They are the narcissists. Everything they do and say is projection. If you want to know what they're truly up to, just stop and wait and listen to what they accuse you of what they accuse your side of. Ann Coulter, and I've been quoting Ann Coulter for years here because she's been saying it for years. If you want to know what the left is about, stop and wait and listen to what they accuse the right of, and that's what they're doing. That's what they think. That's their motivation. More recently, it's been Congressman Devin Nunes saying the same thing. If you want to know what the Democrats are up to, whatever they accuse the Republicans and Trump are doing is what they have done and what they are doing. And now with Devin Nunes suing Twitter for the shadow banning, the deplatforming, the making of fake accounts, the different standards for different people, all the tenets of narcissism. You're not allowed to fight back. The rules are different from us than they are from you. Everything I've been talking about when I talk about societal narcissism and mass narcissism and media narcissism and media gaslighting. One of the major accusations in Nunes's lawsuit is he accuses Twitter of doing what? Gaslighting. So, and I've always said this, the reason why we've been able to be abused for so long by narcissists in our own life, because there was no vernacular to it. There was no vocabulary behind it. You couldn't put it to words. You couldn't verbalize it. Therefore, you didn't talk about it, and you thought you were dealing with these things alone. And I've been telling you guys for years now, once the narcissist realizes and learns the vernacular, they're going to do what they always do. They are going to turn it around and throw it back out on us. So when you see now a guy like George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's husband, and don't get me wrong, I don't trust Kellyanne Conway either. I know everybody knows she's a leaker and she's a liar and she's a cutthroat as well. But it's clear from the point where she made her husband stand there and hold her coat and purse while she stood on a red carpet in a red dress. He lost his mind. He couldn't handle it anymore. He didn't get the Justice Department position he thinks he should have had. He can't face his establishment buddies who just can't stand Trump. And now you got narcissistic outrage. And he's probably looking, what can I use? He looks up narcissism. And he sees about himself, panics, and then it's like, well, I'm going to turn around and now project this back out onto Trump. and project this back out on the right, which is what they always do. It's what they always do. And much like any other narcissist you see on my channel in the recordings or in the emails, like you just look at my last video with Paperback Writer and Gary Busey in a dress. They can't stop themselves. They can't help themselves. So they go on Twitter and they have full meltdowns, and they convince themselves of anything. Because they need to believe it. They have to believe it. Because it's such a shot to their own egos. And what I've been saying and what we're seeing now overall about Trump is what I've been telling you, from when I worked with him the one time and from what I've been able to observe about him. He's patient. He sees and observes everything. He is the type that I've been telling you, he's going to give you the rope to hang yourself with. And what you have now, whether it be with the bullshit Russia investigation or the Justice Department, is you got a lot of rats caught in traps at this point. And they got no way to get out. And a trapped rat or a trapped mouse, anybody who's ever trapped a rat or trapped a mouse knows when they're trapped, they make the most noise. They're desperate. They'll bite their own, they'll chew their own leg off to get away. I think getting rid of Sessions was probably the best move he could have made, because Sessions was just useless. What a disappointment he ended up becoming. But I think from what we're seeing, how fast from when the new AG Barr took over to now we're hearing they're trying to shift the narrative and move it down, and now don't expect anything out of the Mueller investigation, and his head pit bull now is leaving, is quote unquote leaving, going back to he's going to go work as a professor. I'm like, I bet he is. Isn't that convenient timing? And now Rosenstein, who started this whole thing, was supposed to leave in the middle of March. And now Barr's like, I don't think so. I don't think you can't. Because if he leaves, they can't control him. If he leaves, he can plead the fifth. No. He's there to bear the brunt of whatever questions they have about how this whole Russia scam got started. So it takes a long time, but eventually you're going to start seeing heads rolling, and that's what I think where we're at. That's why the left is so desperate at this point to do away with the Electoral College. To start packing the Supreme Court. We can't win, so let's pack the Supreme Court. You ever beat a narcissist at anything in your life? I mean, what you're seeing is you're seeing the political left, the Democrats, essentially kicking over the game board. That's what you're seeing. They want to tear up the Constitution. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They want to get rid of the Electoral College, which protects the majority of the country from LA, New York, and Chicago from dictating for the rest of the country what policy is. Because they can't win every single time. Because they can't win every game, now they just want to kick the game board over. That's what you're seeing. And when you have a narcissist who repeatedly keeps losing, they get worse and worse and worse and worse. And everything they've thrown at Trump hasn't worked. So they keep spiraling worse and worse and worse, out of control. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Fairy Tale, and any of my all my overseas Canadian, UK, Australian, New Zealanders, because I got people all over the world. You have to understand what you have to understand about what you see about Trump is all through a biased media filter. They all hate his guts. They all hate his guts. Every single one of them hates his guts. Even Fox. Even 60% of Fox News, Sky News in the UK, hates his guts. Because what they want is they want a constant military state. They like these wars. They like these conflicts. They like nations with no borders. They like these immigration disasters. This is what they want. So whatever you're going to see about Trump filtered through the BBC or the Canadian Broadcasting or wherever you're watching it, or even CNN, MSNBC, whatever you're getting on satellite, it's all biased. All of it. All of it. Trump wants every nation to have its own sovereignty. It wants every nation to pay its own way who's in NATO and is going and involved in military exercises. He's sick and tired of the American taxpayer paying for things overseas and getting nothing back in return for it, and then being called racists and Nazis and white supremacists by having a different policy differences. It's a real shame. It's a real shame what they've tried to do to this guy, and he's weathered it all. And believe me, I haven't liked how things have gone down with the border debate and how long it's taken for the national emergency and shutting down the government. And I thought he played the whole Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer thing in the Oval Office wrong. And this is where his own narcissism comes in. I'm not saying he has no narcissistic traits whatsoever. He obviously does. Anybody in that position does. He has a gold toilet on the top of Manhattan. Of course he has narcissistic traits. Who wouldn't? But his real mistake was in that Oval Office when he had Chuck and Nancy sitting there. And Chuck said to him, elections have consequences, Mr. President. And Trump's response to that is, yeah, that's why the country's doing so well, because I won. And I'll tell you this. That was, it seems like, you would think that's a great comeback. It's not. That wasn't the comeback. The comeback should have been, then what the fuck were the last 2 years been about, Chuck? If elections have consequences, whose elections have consequences? Not Republicans, obviously, because you've been doing nothing but resist and obstruct for 2 years, and you have the absolute audacity to tell me and the 63 million people who voted for me that elections have consequences. Where do you get your ball? You turn around and you wag your finger in the camera's face. You go tell them elections have consequences after what you've been pulling the last 2 years. And to Nancy, and it would have been a perfect visual, because here he has Chuck on this side representing New York and Nancy on the other side representing San Francisco. And I would have turned to Nancy. I would have been like, and what are you even doing in here, Nancy? The reason why supposedly there was this quote-unquote blue wave was because 33 of them got elected by saying they would never vote for you for Speaker of the House. So whatever you feel about the Republicans, the consensus was from everybody that they wanted change in Congress. So what are you doing here? How are you going to help anybody when you're representing a city with fecal maps of where not to go, where the most human feces is, piles of hypodermic needles, break-ins out of control? You're here to represent what? And what about because I'm the president for everyone, and I would say, Nancy, I'm the president for everyone. I'm everybody's president, whether they want it or not. And I have to look and say, how did these guys get elected? Oh, they got elected by saying, because they said they would not vote for you for speaker. And yet here you are sitting here because they voted for you for speaker. So now I got to do my job and protect the constituents. Like, what are you doing in here? New York on this side, San Francisco on this side, and me in the middle representing everybody else. It was the perfect visual, and he missed it. And he missed it. He missed it. He could have ended that shutdown right there and then. He could have bludgeoned them, but he couldn't sit out. That was his own narcissism. That tripped him up. That was his own narcissism that tripped him up. So in those cases, it kind of makes it easy. So I wasn't happy with how he handled the border crisis. But what we are seeing now, getting back to my original point with societal narcissism, and now you're seeing narcissists and narcissistic personality disorder and the medical terms and the traits being thrown out so readily, and Twitter officially being accused in a lawsuit. Now, who knows where the lawsuit goes? Of gaslighting. It just should tell you, those of you who've been sticking with me and on this channel, you know, I've been telling you, societal narcissism. It's what drives all this in our personal lives, in our public lives as well. It's real. It's happening. It's happening. And I told you, it was only going to be a matter of time. It was only going to be a matter of time before the narcissist, just like we learn on YouTube, on these channels, we know there's narcissists hiding among us. We know it. And once they suck up the vernacular and the vocabulary, they're going to turn around and use it against us. That's what they're trying to do with Trump. And it's their last-ditch effort. Because why? Because they're rats caught in cages at this point. They're rats caught in traps. He's got them. He's got them. You're seeing the Epstein case being unsealed. The guy who was running the island, Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, all these celebrities down in Palm Beach. The guy got off. Trump's labor secretary, Alex Acosta, was the federal prosecutor. He's got him in traps. He knew. Trump knew when he put him there. Why do you think you see Dershowitz? Why do you think you see Dershowitz defending the president so much? Because he really cares about the Constitution? He cares about the Constitution so much, he's going to get rejected by all his leftist liberal friends up in Cape Cod, right? Right? Or Trump's got him by the nuts because he knows what happened in the Epstein case. Now you're seeing Trump, and I told you about the deplatforming and the social media. Don Jr. was gonna be the one that John Jr. was paying attention the entire time, and as long as Don Jr. is talking about it, it's gonna get to his father, and we're seeing it. We're seeing those traps closing. I think Trump's about to move on the social media companies for the platforming of conservatives, and it's the right time. It's the right time. And at this point, like, channels like mine are going to be even more dangerous to them, because I've been talking about narcissism now on YouTube since what, 2014, 2015? I've been talking about the politics about it since 2014, 2015. I've been calling out societal narcissism since that time. So I'd like to think I have some credibility on the issue. And though, I take pride in being right, it also worries me, because it's just an additional target. Just puts an additional target on my back as well. And on the channel as well, because now what you got to worry about is now these mainstream. What's going to happen? Because it's monkey see, monkey do with this. once CNN and MSNBC and Fox, they're all going to start picking up on narcissism. And my fear is that the narcissism YouTubers are going to be the next, quote unquote, anti-vaxxers or whatever conspiracy that they want to put you in. That'll be the next one, is narcissism, baby boomer protection, all of that. So, and I've seen it on the algorithm already, I don't get recommended. I have more and more people being unsubscribed every day, and it just might make it worse. But, might get worse before it gets better. But I am very encouraged in what I'm saying out of, especially Don Jr., the president. And, they can't help, these social media companies, they can't help themselves. When you're suspending Trump's social media director who works in the White House off of Facebook and Instagram, because it's some SJW, it's always some SJW NPC behind it. They just throw it at the wall and think they're going to get away with it because they had for so long. So I think we're at a point now. The rats are in the traps. The societal narcissists are in full-on meltdown, and they are dangerous. They are dangerous. They will bite their own. They will bite their own leg off to get away. So what do you think they'll do to you? So I hope that kind of covers everything you wanted, Fairy Tale. I kind of had a lot of stuff to touch base on, so let me know. Thank you, everybody, for the support. That pretty much brings me to the end of the queue. I just got to do Finding Neverland and the book review. That's it. So I'm wide open. Anything with contribution for the rest of the day will be pretty much immediate. Opens for Skypes and phone calls as well. Let me know what you think, everybody, in the comments section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance.